I'm glad to be here. We are the Congressional Committee for Unit 1, right? That's what you studied? All right, and the question you studied was, how does the U.S. Constitution balance the powers of government? So before we get started, we'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Corrine Gorzo, and 20 years ago I was working in the Social Studies office when we started simulated congressional hearings. So I'm so excited to be here today with you guys.
Good morning, my name is Peggy Anthony and I'm in charge of federal government. I work for two branches of government, the executive branch as well as the legislative branch, the Government Accountability Office on the legislative, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency on the executive. And so I'm really glad to be here. I had the opportunity to attend many congressional hearings, and so it's gonna be interesting to see you, the eighth graders, and how you do. So it's gonna be great.
Hi guys, my name is Sergeant Amy Meek. I'm a Howard County Police Officer and I work in our youth section. So what we do is come out oftentimes in elementary schools and do presentations and have fun and hang out with you guys, and I'm just so excited to be here today to see what you have to offer.
Well, we would like for you to introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Cash, and my favorite historical figure is Harriet Tubman because she was a strong woman who went through a lot like getting hit with a heavy weight. She suffered from lots of head and instability, seizures, and other painful conditions.
Hi, my name is Amaya, and my favorite historical figure is Martin Luther King Jr. because he did a lot for our world to be what it is nowadays.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel, and my favorite historical figure is Abraham Lincoln because he was the 16th President of the United States and he helped abolish slavery and made the world a better place.
Hi, my name is Jeremiah. My favorite historical figure is Frederick Douglass because he helped a lot with the rights of women and African Americans.
Wow, nice group of people. Some of my favorites are in there too. Well, Congress has formed this congressional committee to examine the United States Constitution and the purposes of government. The members of your group are expert witnesses appearing before this committee, and you have been asked to testify about this question. How does the U.S. Constitution balance the powers of the government? Timekeeper, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you may begin.
Welcome, judges. We are the red, white, and blue stars. We hope you enjoy your speech today.
Who did the promises of President William?
The promises of the preamble only included rich white men, although it did not include women, Native Americans, African Americans, or yeomen. These people were not allowed to own property, vote, run for or hold political office, or legally sign documents. I felt disrespected.
They couldn't inherit money or control money. The yeomen also couldn't pay taxes.
A current event that promoted the general welfare of others was the upholding of the Affordable Care Act, which was signed into law by President Barack Obama and gave all people the right to affordable health care.
With a brand new government, there must have been disputes. You may be wondering how the framers settled major disagreements. Well, they compromised. The larger state is going to go with the Virginia plan, which was based on the size of the state.
Larger states wanted more representation. Smaller states felt like they didn't have it. They wanted equal representation.
The states compromised and go to Connecticut plan, which was based on both population, the House of Representatives, and equality of the Senate.
What are the powers and limits of each branch of government?
The three branches of government are the legislative, executive, and judicial branches. The judicial branch of power is to interpret laws, and one of its limits is that judges can be removed. The legislative branch's power are it makes laws, but it also has limits. The president can always veto one of their laws.
Last, the executive branch is where the president resides. The president can veto laws, and they are also the chief and commander of the military. The executive branch is limited because the president and the cabinet can be removed by the legislative branch.
How did the framers ensure the federal government did not have too much power? Well, first, the framers started by making 3 levels of government. These 3 levels of government are the local, state, and the federal.
First, the local government ensures that you have all your local departments. Then, the state ensures that students go to school for the right amount of days. And last, then the federal makes sure you have your freedoms.
I bet you're wondering why the people disagree with the ratification of the Constitution.
Some people disagreed about the ratification of the Constitution because it gave tremendous power to a very strong central government, and those people are more concerned with individual rights. These were the anti-federalists. The group that wanted the ratification of the Constitution was the Federalists. They supported a strong central government that could do more on the United Front than have smaller localized governments.
These people were called Federalists, and they were afraid if the government was way too strong, it would have been very much like being the will of the king. Federalists agreed to add 10 amendments, also known as the Bill of Rights, which guaranteed rights to individuals.
Thank you, judges, for listening to our speech. Have a great day.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. That was pretty good. Wow. And you really did answer those questions that your unit is all about. So awesome. Well, you've said some interesting things, and we have some follow-up questions that we'd like to ask you to learn even more from you.
Okay, what promise made in the preamble do you think is most important and why?
I think to provide for the common defense is the most important because a very strong military is important to protect everyone's freedom and against foreign threats.
I think that to establish justice, because without establishing justice, people would think that they could do whatever they want because they have more rights than another person.
I also agree with Jeremiah because without establishing justice, like he said, there would not be a lot of equality around our nation, and without equality, no one would want to live there. And just like slavery, that was us having no equality.
I agree with Amaya and Jeremiah because if one person felt like they had more than another, I feel like it would be so much stronger.
Why did the framers abolish slavery at the time they wrote the Constitution?
The reason why the framers did not abolish slavery is because first, they were afraid that no one would sign the Constitution due to the fact that many of the people that were supposed to sign it to make them all united still wanted and needed their slaves for like all their crops and trades. So they were afraid that no one would sign it and make them united at all.
I agree with Brian because first, their slaves were their backbones, and if they didn't have slaves, their crops wouldn't grow. And they only need their crops. They need their crops for multiple things and reasons. So that's the reason why they didn't abolish slavery.
Some framers actually owned slaves and they didn't want to give their slaves up. And also, the slaves were the backbone of their growth and prosperity.
Like Emmanuel said, some framers had slaves, so like they didn't give them up because without the slave they couldn't grow their crops easier, and it would have been messes.
Right, very well said, very good. Well, how might the Constitution have been different if women, African Americans, and other minorities had also been delegates at the Constitutional Convention?
It would have been different because if, like, let's say the women came, then the women would have been able to vote and own their own money and inherit money and legally sign documents just like the natives, the yeomen, and the African Americans. And plus, the African Americans could have, like, just never been enslaved at all. The Civil Rights Act would have never happened, segregation would have never happened, like, a lot of things would just never happen if, like, they just had been at the Constitutional Convention.
Segregation would have not been an issue, and also slavery would have ended sooner.
Women, African American, and yeomen could have been able to like own land, be able to have a job and could do more things that they couldn't do.
I think there will be more equality among ideas and actions. There will be the improvement of lives for everyone, not just one selected group, based on African Americans, the yeomen, Native Americans, and women.
Okay, so which branch of the government do you think is most powerful, and explain why?
I don't think any one branch is more powerful because they all work together to balance each other out. So, there were the reasons the founding father came up with those branches of government. They didn't want to live under the tyranny of the king, or a government who was given way too much power.
I agree with Cash because I don't think any of the branches are the most important because all the three branches of the government work together and balance each other out.
I have to say the most powerful branch of government is the legislative branch, because without the legislative branch, the executive would have been able to like veto laws and do things with the laws, and the legislature makes the laws and makes sure
I say that the most powerful branch is none of them because they all use their own powers and limits to like balance each other out equally. But if I really had to pick a specific branch I would say is powerful, I would say that the legislative branch is powerful, just like Jeremiah said, because they make all of our laws and we have to follow those which balance out our community. But if we did not have those laws, then our community would be very unbalanced.
How are we doing on time?
One more minute.
Okay, oh good, more questions to ask. Let's see, why are checks and balances important to the government? Give us an example.
Checks and balances are very important to the government due to the fact that we need them to balance out our government, or if it was not balanced out, like let's say the legislature could approve their own laws and veto their own laws that they make already. That wouldn't make sense because that's why we have the executive to approve those or veto those. And bills can also be sent through the judicial branch to be approved constitutional or not.
Checks and balances are very important to the nation because it balances the power of the government. And if we didn't have checks and balances, things would likely go wrong.
Checks and balances are important because without checks and balances, we'll be under a king or someone that's way more powerful.
It's important because the balances of the power of the government, like basically when the colonists were under the British rule. And same thing with Jeremiah said. That means you will be under a king, and I don't think you would want to be under someone.
And that's time.
Okay. Let's give them another round of applause. You know, while we're clapping, let's give your parents and your teacher a round of applause because they've been working You guys have been learning your stuff, so we have been taking lots of notes, and we would like to offer some feedback to you.
Jeremiah, I think you did an excellent job, buddy. Frederick Douglass, that was an excellent pick. And I was very happy that when some of your classmates all agreed on one particular answer, you went outside the box and stood up and made a different answer on what you believed in. You just didn't follow along with what everybody else believed in. You stuck with your guns and stood up for what you believed in. And that's very important lesson in life, that you don't wanna just settle. If you believe in something, you stand up for what you believe in, and that was a great for you.
Yes, I would like to applaud all of you. All of your answers were very well thought out, and you gave specific answers to and specific examples. So Emmanuel, your favorite person was Abraham Lincoln, and you also talked about the president and how the president had the power to veto laws. And you also said that so one of the answers to the question was you thought the common defense was very important in terms of the Constitution and its preamble. And you also talked about how what the impact would have been if others would have been part of the Constitutional Convention, and you talked about and why the impact that those who were involved, who owned slaves, the impact that had on some of the results of, what resulted in that. And you also said that the impact could have been that slavery could have ended sooner. And so, and then for the last question, you talked about the importance of the balances of government. And so I thought all of your answers, along with all of the others, were important. I really appreciated the fact that you all talked about not only the 3 branches of government, but you also talked about the 3 levels of government, which really showed that you really studied your Constitution, your social studies, and civics, and you have a really good understanding of it. And so I'm very inspired by that. Thank you.
What I thought was, really impressive as a team was that, multiple people helped answer all the follow-up questions. So it wasn't just like one or two people, like everybody shared what they had to say. It was evident that you all studied really hard. And you did kind of interact, agree and disagree with each other, which was kind of interesting to see because y'all had your individual take on it. It was awesome. Amaya, you really helped us to understand the judicial and the legislative branches and like what they do, and kind of the powers that they have and the levels of government. Because, some adults today would not be able to explain the different levels of state, local, and federal government. So that was awesome. You had talked about that. You talked about why people were like, the whole dilemma about signing the Constitution, and helped us understand that, there were slaveholders and non-slaveholders, and they had different interests. And for the economics of the South, they did not want to give up slaves, and President Lincoln wanted to have, or much later, that was like a big, brought us to the Civil War. It was a big division, so not bringing that up as an issue at the time helped us to kind of unify as a country, and then that issue got tackled later, so thank you. And Kash, I really like the way that you explained the New Jersey, Virginia, and Connecticut plans. Not everybody knows about that, but it's really how we landed with our two houses of Congress, right? One that kind of serves bigger states and one that serves smaller states and kind of provides equity. So that was really a nice kind of little history lesson there. And you talked about how, like, if the framers, people who were at the original Constitutional Convention were more diverse, that there would have been more rights for everyone, from the way back, for all along. So I loved how your answers showed your expertise and how hard you've been working. So thank you so much.
I just wanna say one more thing, that you guys did an excellent job presenting. I would have never known that you guys were 4th, 5th graders sitting at this table had I not known it going into it. You guys held yourself with self-confidence, you knew what you were talking about, you didn't read from your paper, and you 4 have learned a lot of things so far in life that will make you very successful in your future with public speaking, on how confident you guys were and comfortable. Were any of you nervous?
Not that much.
Well, you especially would never have known that you were nervous. Kash, how you were articulating your words and your hands, that was an excellent job. You guys all talked with confidence.
And I just wanted to echo, I was gonna ask for one more time too, but just exactly what she said, but I'll just add that I really love the way you all interacted with each other. That showed a certain level of maturity that I would not have expected at your age.
And they showed respect for one another. You respected each other, and really made you work very nicely as a team. Thank you.
And parents, you guys should be proud.
Yes, indeed. Well, before we leave, we would like to come and shake your hand because you guys are awesome.
You guys did so well. I am so proud of you guys. You guys are very successful.
You did a great job explaining. I got history
They speak better than some of the high school students I have in contact with.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.